Good evening and welcome to your F1 Live post-race show, coming to you live from the paddock after the first ever Qatar Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton taking the win here under the lights. My name's Rosanna Tennant, and joining me at the desk is former Formula One driver Jolyon Palmer. Very good evening to you, Jolyon. What a great first Qatar Grand Prix, do you agree?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good. You never know really how it's going to go when you come to a new venue, new circuit. But there was some unexpected drama, some great overtaking moves. Not a battle for the lead that I think everyone was kind of wanting, but you can't have it always. Behind, great.
But exactly, lots of moves throughout the field, and as you say, those last few laps with the tyres, which we will talk about, making it all the more exciting to get to that checkered flag. Let's kick things off, though, with an interview, and we've got Lance Stroll. Lance, you've got a beaming smile. How are you feeling after that first ever race here in Qatar?
Well, I'm really happy with it. The car was great today. We had some great pace. Good start, good strategy, and a good result.
P7, I like it when you smile, Lance, because all too often I'm struggling to know sort of how you're feeling about things. But does this give you confidence for the next couple of races? This is kind of all coming together nicely for the end of the season.
Well, days like today are really positive. You know, when the car is competitive, we actually had the pace to catch up to Ocon and Sainz and undercut Sainz on the same tire at the start of the race. And, you know, we had the pace to just push every lap, and we were really competitive. So days like today are fun when you're going forwards, and this year there's been some tough races where we were going backwards, so today was a great day.
Absolutely, you've got to take these great days. In terms of the tyres, did you have any worries at any point? Obviously we saw so many people with the punctures.
Yeah, I did, because I've been in that position before. I remember in Mugello last year, had a big tire failure, or puncture, whatever you want to call it, and the Baku this year, and I had a very similar sensation in the car today. A lot of vibration on the left-hand side tires, just because it's such a high load energy track. Especially a lot of right-hand corners with putting a lot of stress on the left-hand side of the car. So I felt quite a bit of vibration, and the left-hand side of the car was definitely complaining. So I was just communicating with the team, but they, gave me reassurance that everything was okay. I stayed off some of the curbs and stuff. So it was definitely one of those races, though, where I was holding my breath in some of the high-speed corners, just because I've been there before, and it's not fun when tires are, feeling like that.
No, absolutely. I can imagine it's terrifying. Well done today. Congratulations. Enjoy this evening and have a bit of a breather now after the triple header.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Lance Stroll. Great to see him smiling, Jolyon. I do. I mean, I said it there and then. I struggle sometimes because it's so difficult to get a feeling out of him in terms of how it's going, because all too often they aren't up in those top spots. But hold the phone. Sorry, sort of talk at you. Lando Norris, P9.
Yeah, great race.
Great race.
That's sarcastic.
I know, sorry, I just couldn't hear. I was like, hang on a sec, what's the tone? I'm trying to judge the body language. Tricky, I mean, you pitted precautionary.
No.
Oh.
I had a blowout.
You had a puncher,
yes,
okay.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if it was just precautionary, you actually had the puncher.
No, yeah, the tyre went.
Tricky times.
Yeah.
Tricky times. And in terms of that battle with you and Ferrari, obviously they seemed, would you say they almost lucked out a little bit?
I mean, I wouldn't say they got, if we got unlucky, I guess they got lucky. But I don't really mind which way around it is. We deserved a lot more today. The car was pretty strong. I had to do a lot of saving, which cost us the chance maybe to be able to challenge Fernando. But I know Fernando probably is the hardest guy to get past, so I say challenge and not overtake and go for the podium. But we could have done that, I think. So hopeful day, at least, because the last few weekends have been pretty tough. So it was nice to kind of bounce back and be strong again. But didn't really matter how we did. We still ended up P9. So.
Well, hopefully, I know you said it was sarcastically a great day. Hopefully you can carry a bit of the momentum that perhaps was there before that puncture into Saudi Arabia. Looking forward to that track.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, of course, Ferrari even further ahead, so I don't think there's any point thinking too much about that or getting worried. We just do the best job we can, like we did this weekend. We weren't worried about the Ferraris or anything. We just focused on ourselves, and things are looking good. So, no idea how Saudi's going to be. I've not even done it on the simulator yet. It looks pretty confusing. I couldn't even tell you where it goes. So
I can. I've been there.
You can?
I've been there.
Maybe you can be my driver coach for the weekend.
I'll be your driver coach. There we go. Finally.
But, we'll see. I'm hopeful. Similar conditions. It's a high-speed circuit and so on. So hopefully can suit us as well as Abu Dhabi.
Well, rest well and good luck in Saudi.
I will. Straight to the beach. Thank you.
Straight to the beach, lovely. Charles Leclerc, come on in, sir. 13th to P8 today. I've just seen Lando. He's a bit disappointed. I imagine you're a little bit more cheerful given the problems you've had overnight coming into today's race.
Yeah, I mean, on one side, there's nothing to be happy about when you finish P8. On the other hand, if you look a bit more into detail and obviously look at the pace today, it was very strong. So that was good, especially on the second stint with the hard tires. I felt very, very good. Yeah, pretty happy with P8 today, and we maximized the team points on what was a difficult weekend for us.
Found a crack in the chassis yesterday. Were you kind of pleased to find that? Because we heard you on the radio, sort of a bit bewildered at the pace.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, because obviously after qualifying, normally one of my strong points is to know exactly where I'm losing, whether it's mistakes or just the balance was a bit off. And yesterday, okay, maybe the balance was a bit off, but 1/2 and when I heard on the radio I was 1 second off, I was like, oof, there's something strange there. And to then find the crack, change the chassis and have a much better feeling today made me happy. I mean, obviously we've seen the crack, but I didn't know whether all the performance was in that or not, and today, yeah, it felt much better.
Reassuring. I have to say, it looks like you guys have worked hard. How physical was that race compared to some other tracks?
It was quite difficult, especially for pain in the seat, just because there are a lot of high-speed corners, so whatever small detail that is not perfectly right on the seat, you can feel it a lot more. So actually I have pain on the legs, which normally you don't really work out on the legs while driving, but yeah, it was warm, very warm.
Was it one of the toughest ones?
Yeah, with USA. USA was very, very difficult this year. But yeah, one of the toughest one of the season.
Interesting times. Well, I've said rest well to the others. I'm going to say rest well to you, and
Thank
maybe
you.
get a little physio on the derriere.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, it does look like it was a pretty physical one. And also, I mean, it's cooler now. We're not racing in the day, but it's still fairly warm out there, I'd imagine.
Well, the race sort of flew by because the average speed is really high, so you do your laps pretty quickly, and then you don't really think about it. The temperature's not that high, but the fast corners, they wear away at you. I remember Silverstone's another one with just plenty of fast corners. It's not as hot and it's muggy and humid as well, which makes it hard. But all of the drivers are looking like they're sweating a bit.
Could you have managed it, Julian?
Easy pickings. Not anymore, I tell you.
Oh, well, here's a man who did manage it. Sergio Perez, P4 this evening. Is it fair to say that the team gave you a bit of hard work to do, bringing you in a little bit early?
I think we were a bit in the air with the strategy, really, between the 1 and the 2, you know. We were changing it throughout the race, actually, so I think the main concern was actually the tires exploding out, and that really did cause some of our issues, and we played it safe there, and unfortunately, yeah, not quite enough.
But I have to say, you came from quite far back after yesterday, where I imagine you were incredibly disappointed with it. Actually, can be satisfied with the charge through the field, that the car's got the pace, you've got the pace?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good team result, but definitely we should have been on the podium today. So we have to review, see what we could have done better. Because after the first stint, basically we were up to P4 and we were with Fernando, and then we pitted out early into traffic, and overtaking was quite hard actually today. So yeah, that really didn't pay off.
You had to do it all again. In terms of the constructors, though, you and Max, you performed when you needed to today.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, today after the race, before the race actually, we were thinking to minimize the damage, and we went from minimizing the damage to actually a really good team result. So 5 points between us and Mercedes. So yeah, a lot to play for in the final 2.
They are going to be exciting 2 races. Looking forward to Saudi Arabia?
Oh yeah, big time.
Big time. Well, congratulations. I know you didn't get the podium, but still a great drive. Thanks so much, Checo. Yeah, just off the podium, I mean, ran out of laps perhaps a little bit?
The VSC.
Yeah.
Virtual safety car at the end maybe did for Checo. It was going to be super tight with him and Fernando for third. At the time, you could tell that he was a bit miffed about the pit stop, but then you see the Williams sort of hobbling back with punctures or not hobbling back.
And we'd heard Max saying he had vibrations, so I guess...
It was so marginal, and for the Red Bull as well, with the Constructors' Championship at play, no points for Bottas, still good points for Checo, but you always want that podium.
Well, let's have a little look at some of the overtakes that Checo pulled this evening. Battling with Alonso, of course, as well. Unfortunately, Alonso getting the podium, not Checo, as we've heard, he's disappointed. We can have a little look there. Alonso on the inside and Perez trying to hang on round the outside.
It was just great racing. I really enjoyed it through this first complex, really. You got turn 1, then into turn 2, and that was Checo through past Fernando. But he had more fights as well, because then Esteban Ocon later on.
He had the call though, hold him up. Esteban, I thought he did a good job though, Esteban.
He was great. He did really well. And this was like a payback for Hungary as much as he could, where Fernando was doing it against Lewis, and it gave Esteban Ocon a win. Here it was for a podium, and it was great. I mean, Perez is coming with much better tyres at this stage, and Esteban, I'm sure he's got the radio from the team. He knows the significance of holding him up. He can't make it because Checo's got much better tyres, but even all this stuff here, going side by side up towards turn 4, getting Checo offline, costing him time, costing him a bit of tyre life, it all helps.
Defend like a lion, Fernando Alonso, asking Esteban to do that. Of course, as you say, paying him back for Hungary. But a great day for Alpine. Hopefully we'll hear from them soon. But let's have a little look then at our session results, see how it all shook out after the first ever Qatar Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton taking the first win here in Qatar. What a weekend it's been for him. Said he wasn't feeling well on Friday, and Saturday managed to pull it back. And here he is then, our winner this evening. P2 for Max Verstappen, a brilliant drive from him, of course, with that penalty being given to him late on in the day, 5-place grid penalty, and P3 for Fernando Alonso. Wow, on the podium, first time since 2014. Sergio Perez just off the podium, P4, ahead of Esteban Ocon, unable to defend from the Mexican. Lance Stroll, who we've heard from, big smile for him, P6, ahead of the 2 Ferraris, headed by Sainz, and Lando Norris. Difficult race for him, but he'll take a couple of points. And Sebastian Vettel, our final point scorer. Looking further down the grid then, in P11, it was Pierre Gasly, a difficult day for AlphaTauri. So much promise starting from so much further up the grid on the front row. Daniel Ricciardo P12, then Yuki Tsunoda, AlphaTauri both out of the top 10. Then the 2 Alfa Romeos headed by Raikkonen, and then Mick Schumacher with that off towards the final stages of the race, and then George Russell with the puncher ahead of Nikita Mazepin, who also has had a difficult weekend, and then Nicholas Latifi, a DNF for him with a puncher, and also Valtteri Bottas, a puncher, then continued and then retired. Right call by Mercedes to retire Valtteri Bottas?
Well, it depends if there was significant damage. They can change the gearbox for the next race. It was precautionary, and I don't think Valtteri was going to be getting points there anyway. And when you do so much of a lap with a flailing tyre, you can do a lot of damage to other components. So they'll know, and if they did it, it was probably right.
Probably. They
know more than me.
Well, not maybe more than you, but they have got a bit of experience, haven't they? Well, Valtteri Bottas' start wasn't the best. I'm no Formula One driver, but he went backwards instead of forwards. Should we have a look back at the start then? Because it wasn't great for Valtteri. It was great for Max Verstappen. So let's take a look then at the start. You can talk us through it, Jolien, from the heli
so this
view.
was big, wasn't it? Max starting 7th behind Valtteri in 6th, but immediately one goes backwards, and it's Bottas, and Verstappen's coming straight through. Keeps to the inside here, and past Lando Norris as well. Almost gets shoved wide by Alonso into turn 2. He was a bit cautious, I think, gave a bit of space, because you can't be having a bit of contact with a usual midfielder if you're a championship fighter.
Max was lucky, wasn't he, with the McLaren and the Ferrari fighting it out. He kind of thought, well, perfect, you guys take care of your business, I'll slip it through on the inside.
Yeah, he was great, but he was also on medium tyres, so he should have theoretically had less grip than all of those ahead of him who were through in Q2 on the softs.
That was a hairy moment. I thought he was going to take out the board.
And you worry at that point if there's any grip out there on the Astro, because it's slippery, but he managed to still turn it into turn 2. That could have been bad news, but it was important for Max, even if the rest of the race was a bit quiet and just a go for fastest lap. He at least managed to clear all the midfielders. He cleared Valtteri, which was really important, of course, for the championship, and he didn't do a front wing or anything.
Well, let's have a look at Max Verstappen start on board with him, and this is the launch. He knows exactly where he wants to go.
I think he gets the best launch out of anyone on those mediums. So he's straight between Bottas, and that's Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari on the left. Then you've got Lando on the left in the McLaren. So much more grip at the apex of turn 1. We saw it the whole way through. If you got wide, you were in trouble. It's hairy, isn't it, with Alonso coming through. That move ahead for Fernando on Pierre Gasly, that's magnificent.
Yeah, he's back. Fernando Alonso is back. We were worrying a little bit about Lewis Hamilton off the start, obviously on the medium, and then all the soft shod runners. We thought he might have got swallowed up, but actually he had the pace right from the off.
He was fine. He was fine. He had the pace. He's been rapid, hasn't he, for 2 races? And
Apparently it's not the engine, though, Julian.
well, you know, I don't think it is just the engine. He's got such a big advantage on everyone. And Valtteri's had 6 power units now. Lewis is on his 5th. Valtteri's got some quali pace, but I mean, Lewis has been 6/10 quicker than him this race. Valtteri's still behind Max as well. Seems to me like Lewis, maybe there's a little bit from the engine, but he's driving phenomenally well. And that start, it was important as well because Pierre Gasly is not a Red Bull, but he's affiliated to Red Bull.
Yeah.
He could have been a bit aggressive there on the soft tyres, but he didn't have the chance.
No, absolutely not. No, it seems like Lewis Hamilton has been, I mean, not that he needed it, but sort of reignited. The Brazil issues seem to have sort of stoked the fire in his belly. And on he goes, and on we go for the final 2 races of the season. I feel we're going to see the best Lewis Hamilton potentially in the coming weeks.
And hopefully the best Max Verstappen as well. But I mean, you start to worry, I think, if you're Red Bull and Verstappen. He's still got the championship lead. They did a great job to get as many points as they could, the fastest lap. But how do they stop this Hamilton-Mercedes momentum? Because if Lewis can win from the back in Brazil, he can definitely win from the front. And this looked from the outside like quite an easy drive for him.
Although Max did exactly what he needed to do today. I mean, obviously he wanted the win, but P2, he had to be there really to make sure that this rumbles on and on until the very end.
Yeah, Max was great. He came through, as we just seen the start, got the fastest lap point, which, I mean, these points never feel so crucial now as when it's a 14-point lead in the championship. But if it goes to Lewis, then it's 6 points, and you're looking at even finishing second in Jeddah next time out, and Lewis can be in the lead of the championship. You want to be arriving to Abu Dhabi in front at the very least, because you never know what can happen in a title decider. And so for Verstappen and Red Bull, they got the most out of it today, I think.
Well, it was great to watch Lewis Hamilton back to his best. Perhaps he never went away. Someone who struggled a little bit this weekend was Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. Started from P14, ended P12. Let's hear from Daniel Ricciardo.
Daniel, where was the pace today?
In fuel saving. That's where it got lost. We had a few things going on today. So already from lap 1, I had some fuel warnings on the dash, which you don't get on lap 1, so I ignored it because I thought, okay, it's just an error in the dash. But then quite early I was told you need to start seriously saving fuel, and I saved quite a lot, like already what I thought was maybe too much, and I was told it's not enough. So to a point where we were saving, I don't know, probably going 2 seconds a lap slower, and with that, tires get cold, brakes get cold, so you lose even more ultimately. And it never still seemed to be enough. So I was kind of thinking, what's the point of staying out? Because obviously there's an error and maybe we just messed up, but we're just cruising. And so we had to do that for the majority of the race. And then I was told no more fuel saving and pushed like crazy. So there's I don't know why I always laugh. I don't mean to laugh. It was painful. And it's just obviously something that's gone wrong in the data or the calculations today, and we were getting the wrong information. So that's what we need to look into, because our race was dictated by the numbers that we were receiving, and clearly those numbers were wrong.
It was always going to be a tougher circuit, should we say, for you guys anyway. Have you got any more optimism heading to Saudi?
I think, I'm going to get on the sim Wednesday, I think. And on paper, Saudi looks all right. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to getting on a new track again, but I definitely feel like there was moments today where when I could push, the pace was okay. Like, I think at times we were okay, but let's move on. Obviously, this triple header has not been pleasant, not been nice. So we'll move on. But I think we obviously have to understand what happened today. That was a big one.
All right, hard luck. Thanks, Daniel.
Cheers.
Difficult few weeks for Daniel Ricciardo, a little bit of a rest now, and then of course he'll be able to pick things up in Saudi. Let's have a chat then with Esteban Ocon. What a time to be an Alpine driver.
Not bad, huh?
Well done. You had some battles out there. I thought you were going to hold Checo off.
Yes,
Almost. How difficult was that battle?
Almost, yeah. I mean, it feels like a win today, obviously, for us. The way the car was performing, the way, we finish, 5th and 3rd. We take 25 points out of AlphaTauri in general. So, yeah, it was a mega day. Obviously, I was trying to give back what Fernando gave me in Budapest. Unfortunately, the straights are a bit longer here to keep Checo behind, but I made him lose a good 2.5, 3 seconds. So I was hoping, that that would be enough to have Fernando on the podium. And yeah, we were celebrating all down there at the end of the straight with the podium. And we are all very, very pleased. And hopefully we are going to have more of those memories.
Well, I thought you were going to keep him behind you for a moment. It was great to watch. Being told over the radio, critical management by your race engineer. How difficult was it to manage everything out there this evening?
Yeah, not easy, especially that each time he was keying up the radio, he was telling me, puncture, Latifi puncture, Russell puncture, Valtteri puncture. I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound too good.
Did you have any feelings, any vibrations?
I was very confident, in ourselves, and we've never been, touching wood, never been the one, having punctures recently. So, I had good confidence in the car and how we are managing stuff. So, all under control in the end.
You had a line of cars behind you at the end as well. Lance Stroll and the Ferraris. Was that a worry?
Well, I had plenty of pace in hand. The car was flying today, so worry, yes, because I was told not to push, obviously, in those high-speed corner and to, that was not allowed to defend pretty much. That was what the team was telling me, but, I still took a few jokers, Some laps I was taking a gap, a bit of a breather from them. If I could have pulled away, but, we were just very cautious.
So you had the pace this weekend. What does that mean for the rest of the season? Because critical that you take that P5 slot in the Constructors.
Yeah, it is critical. We're in a good place at the moment. If everything goes well.
It's done, no?
No, it's not done. There's 2 races more to go. I think AlphaTauri are going to be fast again in Jeddah. Hopefully we are going to be as well. Hopefully it will be a good surprise for us again. But I think we are going to have very good data to analyze why we were so fast and where all that come from, basically.
Well, Esteban, congratulations.
Thank you
Enjoy the celebrations tonight and rest after the triple header. You feeling like you need a little extra sleep?
I ran a kilometer from the end to the podium to drop my helmet, get the weight, go again. I feel fresh, all good, just keep going.
You guys are made of sterner stuff. Well done, congratulations. Oh, wow, well, a really great day for Alpine.
What a guy. He
guy.
ran to the podium to go and cheer on his teammate.
Fernando.
I've never been doing that.
And he's always smiling, Jolien. Always, Esteban, always got a positive outlook on things. And it does feel, Fernando came back for a reason. He's got his podium. Are there going to be wins next year? I know we've got new rules and regs.
Oh, who knows what's happening next year? I mean, the order could be completely upside down. That's the great thing about it. My quick maths tells me that I think Fernando's the 13th out of 20 drivers on the podium this year.
But everybody's been on there almost. It's unbelievable.
Great, though. It shows how unpredictable the season's been. Obviously, we're in the middle of one of the great title rivalries, but Esteban's won a race this year. Pierre Gasly's had his day. The Ferraris have been really quick. Lando's been flying. Daniel Ricciardo's won a race, and now Fernando's back on the podium. This is really cool.
It's great. Great podium photography to look back on at the end of the year. Well, let's join Ariana Bravo now, who's talking to Alpine's leading guy, Martin Budkowski.
Martin, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations, first and foremost.
Thank you.
That was something exciting for all of us viewers at home. How incredible does it feel for you and the team?
It feels a relief first. I'm sweating, and it was very, very long. I think the last few laps, it's great. It's great for the team. Third and fifth, podium for Fernando. I think he was long overdue, to be honest. I think everybody will agree that the driving he's done this year, he deserved that podium. So it's great to see him up there. Teamwork again, helping each other in terms of the drivers. Great job. Strategists, tyre engineers, the race engineers, everybody really worked hard to make that tyre last, if you want, until the last few laps. So yeah, it was stressful.
It was a fantastic result for you and the team. Now, as you said, I can imagine it's a sense of relief for you. Us watching as well were on the edge of our seats. How nerve-wracking was that for everybody in the garage? Because we heard that radio message and it sounded pretty calm, but I imagine that was a good facade.
I think you need to give the driver the confidence.
Yeah.
Look, there was no safety concern. If you puncture the front tyre, you just lose the front end and you slide. The rear tyre is a bit different because if you lose the rear tyre, you might spin and go off track. So we were confident we're not putting anyone at risk there, but obviously we're putting our race and our points at risk. But we knew if we stopped, we wouldn't get anything. We understood that we managed these tyres quite early, but also we understood that avoiding the curbs was key, and we instructed our drivers to do that. But, on the last lap, I saw all the mechanics jumping on the grid, and I was like, no, there's a few more corners left, and just because honestly, it was a question of a few corners whether we would make it or not.
Well, you did make it, and that's what matters. Of course, this season has been a really great one for you. You had the win for Esteban earlier in the year. Now a podium that, as you said, long overdue for Fernando. How do you reflect on this season?
I think it's, there's good things and bad things. Podium for Fernando, the win for Esteban obviously is a huge milestone for the team. Equally, our package disappointed a little bit. We were hoping for a little bit better. So what we've showed really this year is when we are given the opportunity, we're here to deliver, and we take it. Now what we need is to develop a quicker package for next year and to capitalize on that, because if we have a quicker car, we'll go and get the podiums and the wins.
We can't wait to see what next year holds for you. Congratulations once again. Enjoy celebrating.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Alpine post-race show, because I'm now joined by their new reserve driver, Oscar Piastri. We just heard from your boss, Martin Budkowski. Well, Oscar, are you the good luck charm that's got them a podium?
I'm going to say yes, because I'm going to be here a lot next year, so hopefully it continues the same trend. But I didn't do anything special, so who knows?
Fantastic. And I assume you're listening in on the team radio. Just describe the atmosphere and what this does to a team when you kind of bring home these kind of results.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Obviously, in my own racing, I've been sort of on the other side in Fernando's position a few times, but yeah, seeing it from that side of things, especially in an F1 team when there's so many people going to the podium, it was pretty electric, and especially for a team like Alpine, it doesn't come around every day, so it was pretty special to be a part of it.
You've had a special weekend. We've seen you on the pit wall, best work experience ever. Of course, we're just seeing all the celebrations and the success, but so much hard work goes into a weekend like this. And of course, off the back of a triple header, we can see behind you all the teams packing down. Just the hours that everybody's pulling to try and make sure the performance does show out on track. What have you made of sort of seeing behind the scenes this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much summed it up very well there. It's a lot of hard work, working crazy hours, and obviously compared to sort of the racing scene I'm used to in F2 and F3, there's a hell of a lot more people. So, it's a massive amount of teamwork together, and everyone's got to be on the same page to make it all happen. And clearly Alpine's done a fantastic job this weekend of putting everything together.
What surprised you the most about life in Formula One?
Very good question. You've stumped me there. Firstly, there's a lot of media stuff, which obviously
which
I kind
you're
of
loving.
Knew. Yes, I am loving. But I think just obviously you get a bit more track time compared to junior categories, but there's so many things that you need the track time, because there's so many different things you need to adjust, so many departments in the team. And even to the simple things of knowing all everyone's names, because there's a lot of people to remember.
Yeah.
So just everything really. There's not really one specific thing that's grabbed my attention massively. The whole thing's pretty spectacular.
Well, without going too deep, I mean, you're going to be racing in a couple of weeks' time in Saudi. You're leading the F2 Championship. Have you changed as a person after your weekend here? Are you going to approach your race weekend slightly differently?
Not particularly. I mean, in terms of seeing the podium from the other side, maybe a little bit, but in terms of what I'm going to do on the track, I'm going to try and keep winning, and that's not going to change. So, yeah, probably not change too much, I would say.
Well, good luck in Saudi Arabia and good luck in Abu Dhabi. I hope you can seal the championship, and well done once again for being made the reserve driver for Alpine.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
There we go, Oscar Piastri. I thought you were going to compare notes on what you found.
I'll give it them later.
Yeah.
Same team, I've done the same thing, reserve driver for a year. It's good, it'll get you there.
Don't worry, you won't end up as my co-host in the end. Don't
2
worry.
years later, you'll be here, yeah.
With that haircut as well.
Oh, I hope not.
No, not at all. Only joking. Thank you, Oscar. Oh, well, tyres were a huge talking point in this race. We had punches. We had quite a few of them. And going into the race, there was quite a lot of question marks over which strategy to go for. Let's join Ariana Bravo now, who's talking to Pirelli's head of F1 and car racing, Mario Sola.
Mario, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, we had quite an interesting race there. We saw a number of punctures that we weren't really expecting to see, but can you talk us through what that issue was and what was causing that?
Yeah, obviously we have to investigate now the puncture. It looks like we know that the front left was the most severe position, most stressed position, but in that case, most of the puncture were after impact on the curbs, so we need to understand if the loss of pressure was sudden or which kind of issue was. To do that, we are sending the tires back to Milan for a quick investigation. What I'm telling you is just a preliminary visual investigation. but the tires were working well, and as predicted, most of the drivers were on a two-stop strategy. So.
And was there any indication ahead of this race that could be an issue? I know you're saying that the tyres are working well beforehand, and the drivers and teams seem to think so as well. It seemed to just come from nowhere.
No, exactly, because sometimes we have some indication like vibrations that are growing. In that case, we didn't see anything. We have found some cuts on the tires, on the sidewall of the tire. That is obviously the weaker part of the tire itself. The level of wear was quite high, so we have to investigate also on the level of wear, but the tires were still in one piece. You can also see from the footage that the tires were still in one piece, just losing pressure. And the first suspect is that the impact on curbs was quite hard during the race, and therefore causing this loss of pressure.
Of course, I know we've still got to do the proper investigation, so this is all preliminary. But looking ahead to Saudi Arabia, of course, that's the first time we're going to be at that track as well. Do you have any concerns that we could see something like this? Or?
No, they are a completely different track, and our way to define the prescription is always the same. We rely on simulations that are coming from the teams. Also, in this case, the track was new. We got simulation from the teams on Friday. We compared the simulation with telemetry data, and they were okay. The teams were very good in predicting the real level of energy that was going into the tire, so we were not worried at all. And we didn't increase the pressure or change any parameter from Friday to Saturday. So there was no indication about that. We need to understand if the cuts were caused by an external element or not. I cannot say that at the moment, and we start the usual investigation to be ready before Saudi.
Thank you so much for your time, Mario. Thank you, appreciate it.
A little bit of investigation needed perhaps before we go to Saudi Arabia, but I'm sure Pirelli have chosen the right tyres for the teams and drivers to use. But let's head back to F1's Tech HQ now and join F1's tech analyst Sam Collins, who's been looking at those tyre failures and the strategies chosen by the teams this evening.
Yeah, we described coming into this race weekend as a voyage into the unknown, the Losail circuit, first time for Formula One cars on this track layout. And immediately we all noticed how aggressive the curbs were. It caused a lot of damage to the underside of the car's bodywork. So lots of bits of carbon fibre being spread around all through the race weekend and the race itself. And actually, that resulted in a number of tyre failures. Well, possibly the curbs. We just heard that from Mario Sola. However, there are a number of other ideas that which sort of suggest other reasons that there may have been some tyre failures as well. And one of them was something Pirelli specifically warned against, a one-stop tyre strategy. We covered it in the pre-race show. Coming into this weekend, we didn't think a one-stop was really viable. Pirelli actually said the wear might be too much for the tyres to handle. And we saw that with both of the Williams drivers. They both got to about lap 31 on a set of hard tyres before both suffered left front failures on the tyre, and it looked very similar on both cars. Valtteri Bottas earlier in the race as well, he suffered from a failure of the medium tyre after, again, about 31 laps on that tyre as well. And now we've heard that Lando Norris also suffered a failure on his hard tyre after a much shorter period. Now, I think there's a combination of things going on here. The first thing, I think, is some of the teams essentially didn't really listen to the advice from Pirelli of saying, you can't really make a one-stop work here. It's just a little bit too far to go. The other thing I think that was going on is there were all those bits of carbon fibre spread all over those curbs. And we heard Mario Sola saying the curbs were harsher than anyone expected. So that could have caused those cuts in the sidewall that we heard described just there. So looking at the strategies here, the one-stop strategy did actually work out for quite a few drivers, but I suspect that was down to the virtual safety car towards the end of the race. So Fernando Alonso, he was the big winner. That virtual safety car got him to the end of the race on those hard tyres, 34 laps old, and that was way beyond anyone expected that they could do. Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin, he benefited as well. Both Ferraris, they went for that one-stop strategy and got to the point got the points off Lando Norris, who did himself suffer that failure. And you get to see some of the other areas that the failures happened on as well. So Lando Norris, if he hadn't had that tyre failure on his strategy, you would actually see that he could have worked his way up into those Ferraris. And that's crucial for the Constructors' Championship, as it was with Alpine. Both of their drivers trying that one-stop as well. I think if that virtual safety car hadn't come out, though, all of these one-stop drivers would have been in severe trouble to get to the end, the same way both Williams drivers were, Valtteri Bottas was, and Lando Norris was. So I think they got lucky. Another factor on tyre changing, you see Max Verstappen, he put in that extra third stop at the end of the run just to get to those fastest lap points. Lewis Hamilton didn't really have an opportunity to try and defend against that from Max Verstappen because he was opening up the gap to the Red Bull, which forced Max Verstappen back into the realms where he could go and make that extra pit stop. Sergio Perez, he probably could have got Fernando Alonso if it hadn't been for that virtual stop, or if it hadn't been for that virtual safety car. So that was really crucial. And that virtual safety car, down to the tyre problems that the Williams suffered. And I do wonder if the FIA had seen quite a few of these cars on their one-stop strategies and just wanted to play things safe and make sure everybody got to the finish safely without any more tyre failures. We heard Martin Budkowski earlier in the show describing it as being a bit of a gamble and thinking that the left front might not have gone the distance, but it was worth a try. And my word, didn't it pay off? Rosanna, back to you in the paddock.
Thank you, Sam. Yeah, what a stint by Fernando Alonso, proving the Pirelli statisticians wrong.
He had a VSC at the end, and honestly, they've been breathing such a sigh of relief at that because it was getting really sweaty for, we heard Esteban say, for all of them on a one-stopper, a bunch of that upper midfield pack there. We don't know what would happen, but 30 laps or 31, 32 seemed to be the cut-off. It's a really fast circuit, a lot of fast right-handers. We've seen this sort of incident at Silverstone last year was dramatic, but other years as well. It can happen when you've got these circuits with really fast corners. This is one of them. It's a new one. No one really knew what could happen. I spoke with Mario Isola yesterday. He told me 2 stop, but then I spoke to the engineers and they were saying 1 stop. So you know there's a potential for this sort of thing.
But they're always going to push the envelope, aren't they? So that is the problem, in inverted commas, with these engineers. Well, let's hear from our top 3, starting with Fernando Alonso, who had a cracking race here in Qatar. Obviously running those hard tyres to the end, 34 laps. Was there a moment, Jolyon, when you thought they'd got it wrong?
There was a moment where I thought Red Bull were definitely wrong, and then I thought maybe it was right. But for Alpine, they were a bit stuffed either way. They had to stick to their guns. It was right. If there was no VSC and there was a puncture on the last lap, it would have been wrong. But this was for fighting for a podium for Fernando. You've got to go for it, haven't you?
Absolutely. Well, let's hear from the 2-time world champion. Back on the podium is Fernando Alonso in P3.
Fernando, you've been saying all weekend how much you love this place. You must really love it now.
Yeah, the love keeps going, for this track and this layout. Nice to drive. The car was mega again on the race, and we could keep up the pace with Perez and in front of the McLarens, the Ferraris. So I think we were maybe on pure pace 4th or 5th, but then obviously we gambled on the strategy, only 1 stop. Perez did 2, and we managed to step on the podium with 2 great champions, with Max and Luis on the podium. So that means a lot for me as well.
Yeah, how much did it mean to be back on that podium?
Yeah, a lot. Honestly, after 7 years waiting for a podium, it was tough. Sometimes you go up and down on your career, and you need to keep up, never give up, and show some determination, some dedication to the sport, because you dedicate your life, to Formula One and to train and to prepare the next race. It doesn't matter if you are 11th, if you are 15th, or eventually when you can fight for a podium like today. So I love racing, and this podium means a lot.
And I guess it does make it all worth it, doesn't it? The hard work after the tough times at McLaren, the tough times away, it must make it all worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And this comeback as well. This podium is exactly what I was trying to find out in this comeback. The feeling again of being competitive, the champagne, and also the preparation for 2022. The new rules can reset a little bit the performance of everybody. And without the 2021 preparation and this kind of races and the understanding of the tyres, the strategy, etc., I will never be ready 100% to 2022. So this is a good momentum that we can carry on.
And a huge point swing in the Constructors' Championship in that fight with AlphaTauri.
Yeah, completely unexpected, to be honest. We were thinking to scoring the same points every weekend from now until Abu Dhabi. And this weekend has been very positive for us. But we cannot relax too much, because next weekend everything can change again. So we need to cover that position.
Max, considering where you started, that was one hell of a start and opening lap.
Yeah, it was an exciting start. It got really close with Fernando into turn 2, but yeah, the rest. I mean, quite quickly I was back into P2, and from there onwards I tried to keep the gap small so they could not do a pit stop or like an extra pit stop, and it worked out well because we did the fast lap like that. And a new weekend, of course, where you lack pace to still finish second and actually get that fast lap point, I think is good.
In terms of the pace of the car, you guys look genuinely strong in free air today. Would you still see this result as a bit of damage limitation?
Absolutely. I mean, overall, we're still lacking pace also in the race. But yeah, of course, very happy with this result.
Great stuff. Thank you. Lewis, congratulations. What a drive. What a victory.
Thank you. Thank you. Good day. It's a good weekend. Super solid. Yeah, I couldn't really ask for any more.
After yesterday, I guess for you, it's just important to get your head down and get the points in and focus on the next one.
Yeah, definitely. I would love to have got that extra point out there for fastest lap, but obviously I was against with the VSC and obviously with the tyre punches and everything like that, it was too risky.
And the pace of the car this weekend, after a strong weekend in Brazil, must give you tons of confidence heading into the next few races.
Yeah, it's been great this weekend. First stint was really strong. They were still very fast, as you could see. They went past people so easily. So yeah, we've been strong. So I'm excited for these next 2 races. I think we've got a car, and if we can get the car in a good place in these next 2, I think we should be real strong.
Great stuff. Congratulations. Thanks.
Lewis Hamilton's excited for the next 2 races. I think I can speak on behalf of everyone and say we all are.
I can't wait. It's another new track next time out. Championship battle couldn't be closer. So much at stake behind the scenes as well. I mean, you couldn't really set it up much better. Mercedes a little bit quicker at the moment, but they've got a points deficit.
And what do we take from this track going into Saudi Arabia, another track that we don't know? Do we think, Mercedes are going to be on the front foot, or can we not? Is it 2021 and you just can't call the form?
I think looking at the layout of Jeddah, it looks like it's going to be a Mercedes circuit. It's really, really quick. It's a street circuit that's that quick with some really fast corners. I think it's going to be favouring Mercedes on paper, but hey, paper hasn't called a lot this year, so you never know. And the fact it's a new circuit, it always can spring surprises. Street tracks as well can produce some anomalies, so it's all to play for.
The one thing I'm worrying about, having spoken to Christian Horner back in Mexico, so okay, nothing's come to the fore yet, but he was talking about saving mileage. They were hanging back in the garage during FP3. Any concerns that there might be a reliability issue in terms of the engine? I know the rear wing is playing havoc with Red Bull at the moment, but any chance that Max could be scuppered in these next 2?
Well, they have been saving mileage through practice. They don't seem to think they can, that they're too worried about the mileage. There's only 2 races to go. But of course, some reliability problem will decide the championship now if it happens in a race. So it's a tight one between being cautious and taking a grid drop, or risking the DNF on a Sunday. Yeah. So with the championship so in the balance, you've got to decide. The problem is with these guys, you can give them a grid drop and they just drive through the field. So yeah, but it's one thing driving through the field to first or driving through the field to second. So for Lewis at the moment, he can start at the back and win. He's got that pace. But Max, if he starts a good chunk further back, can he come through to pass Valtteri, for example? And if he can't, that's 3 precious points gone, even if he can't get to second. It'll depend how quick Red Bull are. Christian and Red Bull will know how perilous the life of the engine is as well.
Well, P2 for Max Verstappen today. His boss, Christian Horner, has been talking to Ariana Bravo.
Christian, thank you so much for joining us on the post-race show once again.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on today's race? Because at the start of the day, we weren't really sure how it was looking for Red Bull with the penalty for Max and obviously Checo starting further back, but actually good damage limitation at the end of it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think that Max has driven a stunning race. His first lap was sensational to get himself back into that race, and crucial for us to nick that point for the fastest lap as well. Is really after what came out of the stewards earlier today, damage limitation.
And in terms of the Constructors' Championship, pretty impressive as well. Optimistic?
Well, look, I mean, we closed the gap. I mean, it was unfortunate for Valtteri, but that's again concertinaed things to within 5 points in the Constructors. So 2 races to go, 8 points in the drivers, 5 points behind in the Constructors.
You know, it's everything to play for.
Absolutely everything to play for. One last question on Checo, because he was closing in
Yeah.
towards the end of that race. Do you reckon that without that virtual safety car, he might have just been able to get himself up there?
All our predictions showed, you know, the last lap or two he would have been right with Fernando, and it's frustrating to miss out on the podium like that, but you know, he did a good job today.
He did indeed. Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you
time.
very much. Thank you.
Great to hear from Christian Horner. A difficult weekend for them, spending most of the time fixing the rear wing, but wasn't to be. Not a double podium for them today, just Max Verstappen up there, and again for Mercedes the same thing, just Lewis Hamilton up there. Their rear gunners not really doing the job.
Yeah, a penalty for Valtteri on the grid, the bad start, the puncture, not his day, and Checo, bad qualifying, and then the second pit stop, not his day. But, I mean, so often it's just been one-on-one anyway, hasn't it, this year? The two, I mean, Lewis and Max have been outstanding this season. And, I mean, it's great for us that they are just taking each other on one-on-one, really, because when the team players can get in the way, it'll obviously be really beneficial for the whoever it could take points off. But we just want to see Max and Lewis racing on track, really.
We want the creme de la creme fighting right there at the top. Well, let's take a look then at the driver standings as we finally leave Qatar, wave goodbye to the final triple header of 2021, and it is Max Verstappen still leading the way ahead of Lewis Hamilton. That gap closing down to just 8 points. Valtteri Bottas still in P3 despite DNFing this evening. Sergio Perez P4, then Lando Norris P5 ahead of the two Ferraris, and it's Leclerc ahead of Sainz. Then Daniel Ricciardo P8 ahead of the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly. He'll be sad not to have added to his total this evening. And then Fernando Alonso P10 after that podium here in Qatar. Esteban Ocon P11, Sebastian Vettel ahead of his teammate Lance Stroll P12 and 13 for the Aston Martins. Then it's Yuki Tsunoda in P14 ahead of George Russell up in P15. Then Kimi Räikkönen ahead of Nicholas Latifi. Latifi also DNFing this evening. Antonio Giovinazzi ahead of Mick Schumacher with 0, Robert Kubica with 0, and Nikita with 0. Then we look across to the Constructors' Championship, and it is even tighter on the team side of things. Mercedes heading Red Bull by just 5 points. So P1 for Mercedes, P2 for Red Bull, then Ferrari in P3, looking a little bit more comfortable ahead of McLaren in P4. Then that battle between Alpine and AlphaTauri. Now we finally have a gap. Alpine with 137 points ahead of AlphaTauri, unable to score today, 112 points. Aston Martin with 77, then Williams on 23, Alfa Romeo with 11, and Haas still unfortunately unable to get off the starting blocks when it comes to points. So there we go. Take a deep breath. We've got through the triple header, and still this championship, these championships, I should say, are super, super close. We are set for 2 scorching, probably quite rightly, races to end this season.
Best case. 20 races through, and it's still separated by only 8 points. I mean, it looks like it's going to go down to the wire. Any mistake's going to be costly. Can Red Bull get back and stop that Mercedes charge? I think that's what they're going to be really working on, because it is looking a little bit ominous, and they need to stop the Hamilton winning spree.
Well, such excitement here in Qatar for the first ever race at Losail International Circuit. Jolien, thank you so much for your expert analysis. As always, my thanks to Sam Collins and to Ariana Bravo. Thank you to you for watching at home, and we will meet again in Saudi Arabia. Goodbye.